Hello, Internet. My name is Roro, and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone's having a good day. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and honestly, I've been thinking about for a little while now. And I think a lot of people are also thinking about this, talking about it, taking it into consideration, and that's the current state of comedy. Now, I want to preface this video by saying I'm not a stand up, I don't do comedy, I'm not a comedian, I'm just a lifelong fan of the art form. I've been following comedy for a long time now, watching stand up, keeping up with comedy podcasts, and just generally staying tapped into what interests me. So if you're listening to this and you're not interested in hearing the perspective of somebody who's only a fan, then you don't have to watch this video. Also, I'm not going to be dunking on anybody in particular. I'm not going to be big upping anybody in comedy in particular because I think a lot of the things that I want to talk about apply to a lot of different comedians at all different levels. So I don't want to make this about anybody specific. So yeah, if you're looking for a video of somebody just shitting on specific comics, this is also not the video for you. And again, I'm not claiming to be some source of, inside information for anything or like somebody who's really like on the ground floor actually observing this all firsthand, as a comic or something or as a comic writer, whatever you want to say. Like, this is an outside perspective from somebody who's a big fan of the art form. I just really want to make that clear. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, I think the most glaringly obvious issue that a lot of people have and that a lot of people talk about and complain about is just whether or not comics are trying to be funny or they're just using their platform to be hateful and spread hate towards marginalized groups of people a lot of the time. And this is at all different levels of comedy, like really successful comedians or like up and coming comedians. It seems like there's just this mentality that people have that if they can't say hateful things, then they're being censored in some way. Even though nobody's actually stopping them from saying those things or doing those things, which is weird that people are constantly claiming that they're can't say anything anymore, they're being censored or something like that because they're all saying it openly. And a lot of these comics are people that I've been fans of for a long time, since I was a teenager. And I think that's part of the problem, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, if I'm being honest, there was a lot of comedy that was very hateful and offensive that I thought was funny. But I was also 14 years old. So I think a lot of these comics have been in the game for a while, or they were really inspired by comics from that time period. And they're not seeing the disconnect between their material and the reaction that people are giving them in general. And obviously, there's always going to be people that think that that's funny, and there's always going to be like people that think just being hateful straight up is funny to them because that's what they think on a daily basis. So there's always going to be some group of people that supports this, but I think the general consensus of comedy is definitely moving away from that. And honestly, it kind of makes me wonder, there's a lot of situations where you'll be in, and it's a human reaction to laugh at something when you feel uncomfortable. So I wonder if a lot of these times where these comedians are getting laughs out of people, it's a lot of it is just because they feel uncomfortable and they don't know how to react. And when you're at a comedy show, you want to laugh. You want to participate in the joy of comedy. You want to feel happy. You want it to be like a fun thing. So people are more inclined to laugh at a comedy show. You know what I mean? And it's funny to me because comedy presents itself as this like, against the grain sort of thing where they're always like, speaking the truths that the bigger voices in the world are too afraid to say or whatever. But a lot of these comics that are spitting all this rhetoric are just enforcing all the hate that's coming from the powers that be, quote unquote, or the corrupt system, whatever you want to call it. It's like all the things that they're like trying to say are things that need to be said that are hateful and hurtful to people are the same exact ideas that are being portrayed through, harmful laws in America right now. And just like people that are really rich and out of touch and don't care about people because they care more about, their money and protecting their capital over protecting human lives. So that's a little bit of a weird thing to me. It seems like a contradiction. And you got to also wonder, what does it take to dedicate yourself, your entire life, your entire career, your entire existence to standing on a stage with a microphone and people just listening to you talk and not being allowed to participate. You know, like I have nothing against that on paper. There's nothing wrong with the art form of comedy and stand up in itself. But you got to think about sometimes these people want attention more than they want to be funny, because that's the whole reason that they're in comedy in the first place, is because there was some sort of deficit in attention in their life that they're trying to fill on stage. And obviously that's a generalization, but I think that's the case for a lot of comics, you know? And comedy especially is an art form where people look to the past a lot. They really look up to, you know, the founding fathers of the art form, which I also don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you don't have to replicate what they're doing. You can do something new. You know, you can appreciate what that was in the moment, and you can call out the problems that there are from that time and then take that inspiration and make it something new and better. You know what I mean? Like, and there definitely are a lot of comedians that I'm a fan of that are not like this. You know, this is not every single comedian. And like I said, these issues are applicable to all levels of comedy, no matter how big or how small, however you want to perceive it. This permeates through the whole art form. And I think another issue that causes this to happen is where comedians do their shows and like how they're presented to an audience. A lot of the time, comedians are not really respected to the level that they think that they deserve, or that they maybe do deserve. And they have to do these shows in, like, you know, strip malls in the middle of the country at some random comedy club where in like Alabama, you know what I mean? So it's like at the end of the day, they're doing this for a job. It's to make money. It's a business. So they have to cater to the audience of the people where they're doing their shows, you know? And this is obviously applicable to touring comedians, which a lot of comedians, that's how they make their money. They do shows and they tour and they travel. So if you're getting opportunities in places, you need to make sure that the people that are there are going to want to come to your show. And I think in order to do that, they have to kind of, you know, cater their material to their audience in order to sell tickets, which is a shame, you know? Like, I think comedy should be revered in a more higher way than it is. But I think comics that do stuff like this kind of make it so people don't see it that way, if that makes sense. And I think another thing comics will say is, you know, their job is to elicit laughter. Their job is to make people laugh, you know, to entertain people. But they'll also say that they're supposed to speak the truth. But I think a lot of the time, those things don't always go together. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So what is more important? You speaking your truth, which is, like I said, a lot of the times hateful and just the same exact talking points of, you know, all of the issues in America right now. I guess I'm talking specifically about America because I don't know what comedy's like outside of America, really. And I'm from America. I live here. I've lived here my whole life. So that's mainly where I'm coming at this from. And I feel like I could go into more detail, but that's the main points that I was trying to get across in this video. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe there's like stuff I'm missing or I'm not considering, or just like if you have additional ideas about this, please let me know. You can email me too. I have my email address on the page. If you want it to be a more private conversation, that's fine as well. And aside from that, I put out a new video every Sunday, so you can check out some other ones on my channel. I'm always sifting through thoughts and ideas while playing video games. That's what this channel's about. And you can come back next week for a new video. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.